up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember. When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember. When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember.
How's it going? I'm Edicts here with Lulu, and we're bringing you some fine Overwatch on this Wednesday evening. We're here with Owlet and StoryBook Villains versus Outcasts, two 1-0 teams going at it today. Lulu, what do you have to say?
I couldn't say it any better myself, Edicts. I think this is gonna be a good match, and I'm hoping we're gonna get 5 maps.
Right, and both of these teams coming off of a win their first outing this Sunday. Both looking fairly dominant, with Outcast beating Burn 3-0, and the Storybook Villains taking it to Flashpoint 4-0. Do you think both of these teams are going to bring in a dominant look today?
Ready for battle.
I think both teams are gonna have their maps that they really like, and I think this could be a close series.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see how these two go at it and who's going to remain undefeated. Um, Going into this attack, there's some interesting compositions coming out from both teams. Let's see if they run with this. Storybook Villains look like they're going for the hog,
2, 1.
You can also see the Bastion from.
and now that they swamp to the Sigma. So both teams going to be rolling out here on fairly similar compositions. Outcast taking position on the point first, both setting up shields. Maywall coming in the back as Nifa drops down first. Brutal Alone taking out Hayes, and the close quarters combat seems to be going the way early of the Storybook Villains.
They just got wiped. Like they kind of just fanned around, and it's almost like they forgot to place down their shield because.
Right, the approach has to be absolutely. Exactly, the approach has to be absolutely spot on, and once you get in that close quarter range, most of these fights are all dictated by how the first pick goes. So here come Outcasts coming back through, looking to rotate through this far angle. Need to be careful of boots here. Approaching onto the point, Hyper Knight trying to find a location to put his shield, and slowly moseying their way onto the point. And Maywall catches Reaper on the Storybook Villains out, and Bola Bulls goes down. A boop onto Nifa, and a beautiful anti-nade is going to send this whole fight into chaos and going the way of Storybook Villains. Just stays on the point, and fight's cleaned up.
That was actually really good, well executed by Outcast, but they kind of got unlucky with that Reaper getting booped off the map. I think everything was lined up for him to just clean up, but
like I said,
really clean up when you're off the map.
These teams have to be so careful of getting booped off. Now, the Outcasts will have a nano boost going into this, and they're approaching, and they shield down outside of the point. This will be on cooldown for quite a while. And here comes the Gravitic Flux from Storybook Villains, and a huge Reaper ultimate is going to send this fight into the books as well. Storybook Villains looking absolutely dominant. It's really in one fight territory now, 1 or 2 fights.
Well, good news for Outcast, they got the male and they got the nano.
Exactly, they have.
But Storybook Villains has the male of their own, and they got the beat, so.
We have a supercharger.
Actually, more favorable for Storybook Villains if I had to guess.
They just have to get onto the point soon. A Blizzard coming onto point, and this should be the call to rush in. A Brutal Alone wraithing out. The Maywall to block all the follow-up, and a Nano Blossom coming in from Nifa is going to clean up this fight and put the Outcasts on the board finally 99-0.
Some great patience from Nifa, waiting out the beat and then letting the ultimate rip.
And that's the key. Baiting out the sound barrier with the Blizzard seemed to be the way to get Nifa in there, doing his work. So now Storybook Villains will be on the retake for the first time. He's gonna throw in Blizzard preemptively. The only one to possibly follow up is Brutal Alone, who has to wraith out when he's in trouble. Sharp shot to win comes back in. The Gravitic Flux from the Outcast is gonna go in, and the brute from Kusogari is gonna completely turn this fight around. That looked so good for the Outcasts, and this is the map.
Man, 2 fight-winning boops on 2 different fights. Like, that's just gotta sting.
And you have to be so careful, especially on Ilios in particular. This is Lucio's playground. You have to be watching out at all times for this. So fairly clean round coming out from Storybook Villains. Let's see how the Outcasts respond, if they'll make any compositional swaps for well.
It's the worst feeling, getting killed environmentally.
And so important on this map in particular, even more so, I'd say. Now, the Outcasts look like they're going to be running. Maybe they're showing Bastion, but I'm not sure if either team's going to run this.
I mean, we've seen a lot of Bastion in the Overwatch League, particularly from New York.
It's true, and they look like they're going to be coming out with the Bastion straight out of spawn. Let's see how this plays into Storybook Villains comp, who are going for the Pharah. So spotting them out, spam will begin. And now it's all down to the Outcast getting a quick pick with the Bastion, because if they allow them to approach, this fight's going to be over. So you see Storybook Villains approaching with the Mei wall, now having some space to work with, all in on the Bastion, onto Nifa. And trades coming out, but the focus fire on the Bastion was just too good.
Brutal won't miss the wall, but he does enough to distract the Bastion and kind of baits him to turn away from the rest of the team.
Yeah, and a more important part
Allowing
is
the
going for this
Bastion to-
Bastion strategy, let Sharpshot to win already build a barrage. So he has this coming in for their next engagement, and honestly, without anything to stop it, this might be another wipe. It's all down to Sharpshot to win, finding the angle. A pull
Oh,
comes
this
in.
barrage is gonna be big. No one's noticing him.
No one sees him. 2 picks off is all that matters. But Arco getting a kill onto Inaloco, but follow-up, the man advantage comes through. Hyper Knight using Fortify to maybe stay alive some more. Contest on a point, but it's not going to be enough, the barrage. So now, Storybook Villains have an ultimate advantage. A Blizzard will be coming up soon on both sides. Arco a little bit closer to his, and a Nano Boost now ready for the side of Outcasts. But Coalescence in this meta is so incredibly strong. It can buy at least another 10%, even if it doesn't get any kills.
Oh, big kill on
Nifa gets sharp shot. The Bongo getting placed down really, in a really far position, blocked by the Mei wall. Now, the side of Storybook Villains has to back off without the angles. A complete fight is devolved right here. Outcast getting the picks though, able to work the sightlines a little bit better. And now, Inaloco and Kusogari, my apologies, are gonna have to try to hide from the impending doom. The Gravitic Flux used to bring them up. And Nifa goes down from the Gravitic Flux. Sharpshot to win gets a kill on Arco. This fight is turning around. Bola Bulls into the well. Everybody's falling. Gravitic Flux comes out from the side of Outcasts. Coming down, it's pure chaos. But the only one left is Hayes, Storybook Village, pulling out this fight in the absolute just chaos. And now only one fight left. How are they supposed to win this?
Well, they gotta get the mail down first, but...
And here comes the barrage. The mail comes through, but nobody's there to follow up. Bull's getting booped off. It's still... No, the cleanup will happen. A clean map win for Storybook Villains.
Victory.
Seems like Storybook Villains had a great plan against the Bastion. They knew how to minimize the Bastion's effectiveness by getting out of his sightlines and engaging up close where they can get the surround on him.
And I think Sharpshot to win is, from this play of the game, to look at his ultimate percentage, just building
I mean, there's
up.
no one shooting at him. He's just free to do this all day.
Absolutely uncontested. Sextuple kill coming through from Sharpshot to win. So the spam damage and the focus fire, the approach was just too clean for the side of the Outcast to handle. So a relatively easy map 1 win for the side of Storybook Villains. How do you think that the Outcast can bring this one back?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious to many of our viewers, but if Storybook Villains are gonna run this Pharah, then Outcasts are gonna need to find some sort of answer, whether even just changing their playstyle to just like pay attention to the Pharah with like a Sigma shielder.
And
Put some pressure on that Pharah, because you can't have your free shooting like that all day, especially from that close.
and right, even one solution could be to just push past the Farah fire and trying to get your team in there in the close quarters fight and win before the Farah's effectiveness can really become apparent. So it's all about avoiding all of that spam. So if you can, it's all about mitigating sharp shot to wins effectiveness right now. Yeah, I think if you're on the side of the Outcast. So moving in soon to our second map of Hanamura, what do you expect to see out of both sides?
I think we're gonna see some bunker bastion, and pretty not much they're gonna stick on the Sigma, the Orisa, and just hunker down, play some good old fashioned bunker.
Right. I'm also. Do you think that any symmetric strategies will come out? Any teleports?
Traveling to high
Definitely,
ground.
if they see the bastion, I'm gonna assume that the other team's gonna just pull out Symmetra just to try to TP away into a better position against that bastion, who can just melt faces with minimal effort.
And I'm curious to see if one team tries to attack without the bastion or without the Symmetra, how they're going to try to attack a bunker set up on the platform. Like so many teams have tried it. We've seen throughout just watching the Overwatch League and the second season of Owlet is a lot of teams running Bastion and on this map on defense, and people trying to figure it out and trying to see, okay, how do I attack this? How am I supposed to dislodge them? When in reality, a Symmetra can be the best way to do it.
For battle.
So it will be Storybook villains on the attack first, and they look like they're showing Symmetra early.
I'm very happy I don't see a bastion.
Attackers.
It's
Honestly.
always fun to see more dynamic play and not something where you just sit around and just wait for your bastion to kill things.
And one thing we have seen
I
some
gotta
teams
give
do
props to the Outcasts.
for trusting their own defense, and it looks like they're going to be holding up close at the doors. So, in terms of,
4.
and we know that Shad loves to play the Junkrat, so that's probably a big determining factor in why they've chosen to do this.
Objective A.
Oh, the wall comes down early. Should be back up in time, but
Ooh. That allows the side of Storybook villains to play
TP's
more
coming in?
aggressively. The TP comes through, but the Orisa shield is already used, and that means that they have no protection from the crossfire. 3 going down already, and the cooldown communication just wasn't there.
they're more than ready for that TP. You saw the nade coming out. You saw Shad already in position to just AoE down whoever crosses through that.
Absolutely. Do you think they're gonna?
Yes.
Do you think they're gonna stick on the Symmetra here and try it again? Maybe like
Nope,
Bulls.
because they already switched.
There we go. We
This
get
is
the
the
Reaper.
top tier analysis you get from No's assistant coach.
I will protect the innocent.
Yeah. So the Symmetra clearly they were ready for it and not
Also
going to
switching
try
up
it
the
again.
Pharah to just try to replicate
Yeah.
the best they had on well.
And look, the side of the Outcast has nothing to deal with it. And here they come over the May wall, spamming in. Brutal alone, getting frozen, getting rocks, but barely goes down to the hands of Haze. And
Oh, best all in the game coming through.
Coalescence comes out from Litcat. The revive comes out of Brutal alone. How could they let that happen? Hyper Knight goes down to Brutal alone. And now they're all split off, zoned off. The May gets the nano, but split on the point. Everyone going down to Brutal alone. And this fight is over.
There you can just see why Moira's ult is just so damn good. You just point at the enemy team's direction and you either melt faces or you get like all the space you want. Only thing that can stop it really is any form of crowd control and maybe like an insta kill from say Junkrat's tire.
Exactly. But the one positive sign from the Outcasts after this point, ACAP, is look at their ultimate bank. They have the Sigma ult, they have the Riptire coming up on Beat and Blizzard.
I think we're gonna just see a tire mail right here and try to clean this efficiently.
Right, you see Outcasts holding back into point, playing for their mails into Sigma ults. staying in the safety behind the Sigma shield, but frozen.
I'm not sure about that one. I
The
think the
beat
tire
comes
would have been
through.
more efficient.
And Storybook Villains getting splitting up the side of the Outcasts on point. The picks going their way, the tire only getting lit at. Valkyrie comes out, Shad kills Sharp Shot to win, but the kills are all going the way of Storybook Villains. Now it is 5 on point, so we'll see if the stall can actually come through. But no. Now it's only Jervard on point. And we'll have a Mei coming in to stall Nifa on the Mei. A Death Blossom comes out from Brutal alone to keep clearing. Just Hyper Knight on the ball. At this point, it's all about stall. We'll see if they can find the picks. And now Storybook Villains. Yeah, don't you just love 2 CP?
It's the greatest map mode in the game. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for
gracing us with this beautiful, beautiful game type.
But in all seriousness, I'm not sure if I like that Mei Sigma ult combo. The Sigma ult practically just lifted them out of the Mei ult. It was...
Right, and the side of the Outcast engaged with the Mei ult into the Sigma, so it kind of mitigated the effectiveness of both ultimates at the same time. So
I think the tire would have been a lot better. You got everyone slowed down from the blizzard, and then, which makes it easy for the team to just hit their shots and get the picks needed to kind of stop the snowball from Storybook.
the keys to that fight, I think, were the misuse of the Blizzard and the Flux from the side of the Outcast, and also the boops from Kusagari, getting the members of the Outcast split off and half of them down and half of them still on point, where they got just focused down by Brutal alone and Sharp Shot to win.
And there's really been no answer to this Pharah at all coming from Storybook Villains.
Absolutely not. The Outcasts need to figure something out quickly. With a time bank of 3 minutes and 45 seconds, they're going to have to find the answers.
Both teams going with pretty much a standard compositions.
Yeah,
Kinda
looks
see
pretty...
the differences between the Ana and the Moira right here. With Storybook Villains really preferring the Moira, whereas Outcast really preferring the Ana.
And why do you think that is?
Well, personally, I think the Moira is better just because you just charge that ult so fast, and the Coalescence just like takes up so much space and very worse. But I think Outcasts value the anti from the Ana, and
the spam fight just being won outright by the side of Storybook Villains.
Oh,
Sharp Shot to win almost going down, but not quite. Not going down to the side of Nifo.
that was a very decisive win coming out from Storybook Villains.
At a certain point, they're just getting mechanically outplayed in some of these like spam contests. Maywall comes out from Niva, trying to get his team into position, but they're really, the outside the Outcast is really just posturing around the choke. Shad getting chased out as Reaper.
And again, no one's looking at Sharp Shot to win. He's just free shooting from the top corner.
Exactly,
No
they're
big
getting
deal here.
split
He's
off.
gonna get his ult like really fast right here.
Yeah, Hyper Knight, despite the wall coming out from Nifa splitting off Litcat for a moment, it's not seeming to matter. Dragon comes out, finds CRX Wolves, Shad goes down to Sharp Shot to win. Nobody is contesting Sharp Shot to win. They have to find an answer to this crossfire that Storybook Villains is putting down quickly.
I'll tell you, if I saw this in my comp games, I think I'd tilt off the face of the earth, because having an uncontested DPS just spells death for your team.
And I think Shad is trying to go behind the back line, but still, look at Sharp Shot to win. Nobody
Shooting through the window, just having the time of his life. Just finally gets contest from Lucio.
Bulls puts down a bongo. Shad in the back line, ready to break it up though, and Shad getting chased by Brutal alone, getting killed in the back line. Well, the Flux comes out, a beat in response from the Outcasts. Nothing seems to come of it. mainly buying more time for Brutal Alone to come back from after killing Shad. Outcast is gonna have to back up and wait. A Blizzard comes out and a beat in
Great wall.
response. The wall. CRX Wolf finally goes up to just boop him, but it's more of an annoyance. An anti into the Flux is gonna get 2 Shad killing Bull of Bulls, Haze killing Kusagari, but Brutal Alone finding the picks through the Blizzard. The ultimates.
Man, the sharp shot to win must be like just grinning from ear to ear. There's just there's just nobody contesting him. Just an occasional Lucio booping him off, but
Absolutely not. And you see the side of Storybook
and
Villains
there's
coming
no
back to
ults for
point.
Outcasts really come back and take this point with. They're gonna have the Bongo and maybe the Reaper ult soon, but
CRX
Not
Wolves
sure if
away
that's
from
gonna
his
come
team. Getting punished. They were trying to. The side of Storybook Villains was trying to buy time for Hyper Knight to get back. And CRX Wolves was trying to capitalize, but may have been a little bit too far. And his team has to back off. They have another fight.
there's just not much time for for Outcasts to really have a good push at this. They might need someone to just rush out there and touch.
They need to all rush in as a team and place down Bongo and hopefully get
And
the
this
focus down that
Onslaught
they
can
need.
really just stop any plans.
Here they
of
come pushing
having a good
through.
fight.
The order just isn't there. The dragon comes out now. It's just Gerbert and Shadow left. They can't even touch the point. What a clean defense from the Storybook Villains. Totally one-sided.
Outcasts are gonna have to change something about their game plan, because right now it's
Absolutely.
just getting absolutely snuffed out by Storybook Villains.
And right, part
It
of
has
the
some
issue.
good antis, but
Yeah,
they're gonna need to find a way to utilize that nano better and
and
gain
part of
some
the
sort of
issue.
advantage.
Part of the issue is that the Outcasts seem a little bit timid to push into the wall of shields that is the Erasa Sigma from the side of Storybook Villains, and are really paying for that because they're moseying around and letting themselves get picked apart by Sharp Shot to win. And so they need to play more aggressively, have more trust in themselves, and really get in forward. I think that's the change they could make into hopefully taking these next 2 maps.
And the longer they wait to initiate their attacks, the longer that Hanzo is going to be playing what I like to call the Hanzo lottery, where he can just spam down forever and ever, and then like you're bound to get a lucky headshot at some point and just like stop their plans from working at all.
The Hanzo lottery. Care to
Yeah, the
explain
Hanzo
where-
lottery. As you can tell, I have very negative opinions about Hanzo as a hero.
Where did this come from?
Probably solo queue, if I had to say. Just the amount of times where the enemy Hanzo will just randomly spam, and then somehow I'll just walk into an arrow and die, and just throw my keyboard out the window.
Was this made better or worse by the removal
Worse.
of Scatter Arrow into
It
Storm
is
Arrow?
definitely been made worse, because at least with Scatter Arrow, I feel like you kind of know you're gonna die once he uses it. But with the rapid fire, there's like that little bit of hope, and it's the hope that kills you. You're just like, okay, I can strafe out of this, and then you just get hit by headshot with the rapid fire arrow, and you look at the kill cam, and you're like, wow, this guy wasn't even aiming, and
Well, hope is definitely what these. Speaking of, hope is definitely what the side of the Outcasts really need right now after being down 2-0 at the half. Lulu, do you have anything to say? It seems we're going into anything else to say. We're going into a little bit of a halftime before we'll come back.
I think either Outcast has to change their comp a little bit to maybe play around this Ana a little bit more, or I think they, as well as the Ana is playing for Outcast, they might just have to go with the Moira just so they can just get that quick alt charge and then play around their coalescence. Because
Absolutely.
they're getting these good antis, but it just doesn't seem like they're playing around them effectively enough to where
It's
they
just a
can really
lack of,
just clean up fights.
it's a lack of capitalization issues. They need to be willing to go forward and really take the opportunities that they're presented and just run with them.
Another alternative is they could kind of have the Reaper TP behind Storybook villains and just pop the nano on the flanking Reaper just to create some sort of space.
Right. It seems that with Outcast, space is at a premium right now. They're just getting picked apart by the crossfires. They feel like they can't move in, that they're like losing the shield wars at every point.
Somebody's got to deal with Sharp Shot to win because I don't think I could go on another map if I see him just free shooting all day from high ground.
Will it
Whereas
infuriate you
this
too
area-
much?
I'm sorry?
Will it infuriate you too much?
I'd be pretty mad.
But yeah, like,
Can already hear a little bit of my angry voice.
what does your angry voice sound like?
Angry?
I wonder if it would sound like some kind of like angry sarcasm.
What is
Because
that
I haven't
supposed to
heard your
mean?
you got the resting sarcastic voice.
What does that mean?
You don't understand.
Resting sarcastic voice.
Yeah,
Is it
just out of
like
a-
is
just
it
out of a
like
default.
resting mean woman face? I don't think I could say the actual term.
No,
on
you can't.
screen.
But it's like that, yeah.
I mean, I have news for you, Edicts. I
What's that?
can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? Like, you gotta deal with this for the rest of the season and probably for the rest of your life.
I've already resigned to my fate. Looks like we're having a ready call being asked in lobbies, so we may be hopping back into this soon enough.
Don't get the viewers' hopes up. Like, just because someone says R question mark doesn't mean like.
No, it's not about getting the viewers' hopes up, Lulu. It's about getting my hopes up.
What?
See, they're all saying R in chat.
Yeah, took like 5 minutes.
I know the viewers can't see any of this, but you have to trust my word for it.
Yeah, because you're a really trustworthy person.
I appreciate that.
Well, okay, like, when you look at the dictionary and look up trustworthy, you just see a picture of Edict's face or something. Just
Kind
right
of
there.
terrifying, honestly.
Why?
Initiate
The world needs to see your lovely face.
I don't know how to respond to that. All right. Coming into King's Row, what kind of adjustments do you think that the Outcast could try to make on this map in particular?
Not sure. Maybe we'll see some Symmetra strats on this defense. Maybe we'll see some Bastard strats. Really? We haven't seen much of these teams, so aside from 2 matches, so really anything could go. This is the first time they're playing this map, correct?
Yeah,
Or for this season, of course.
for this season, exactly. I want to see Sharp Shot to win playing more of the Pharah, and it looks like maybe
He can play whatever he wants if no one's gonna look at him.
Exactly. More on the Pharah, more on the Hanzo. I want to see more of that and see how the Outcasts prepare for them.
attackers incoming. in
Now it
red
looks like
zone.
tentatively they might be going for Sharp Shot to win on the Mei.
Alright. It'll be easier for Outcast to deal with the Mei because the Mei is most likely gonna be right in their face. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they're coming out
I've
with
been lied to by my trustworthy partner.
the Outcasts coming out with the Bastion. Now it's up to Storybook Villains to scout this and see what they really want to do. So who knows what they're gonna really end up running. So Storybook Villains coming out on the Far Mercy. Yeah, showing no indication of wanting to swap.
Already, feel like we see the improvement on keeping track of this Pharah. You got the Ana shooting at him. You already have Sigma putting barriers at the Pharah. This is more of what you need to see against this Pharah.
The rotations coming through from side of Storybook Villains are relatively clean. Nobody gets chunked down or picked off. But yeah, now Herbert looking at Sharp Shot to win. But they have already brought, the side of StoryBook Villains has already brought this fight right to them, but the anti-nade on Bull of Bulls is going to send this fight into panic. The res comes out, though, and Hyper Knight isolated. The Immortality Field from CRX Wolves coming out. Nifa going down. It's pure chaos, Lulu.
That was a great play from StoryBook Villains, cutting off the Bastion from getting any sort of value with the Sigma and Orisa, and just leaving Hyper Knight all alone on the point.
Yeah, if he could have looked around in that moment, like paused time and looked around in that moment, and he just says, "Where's my team?" Just completely isolated. So
I have a feeling he might have been asking that as it was going on without
This is why we
the
need
space-time continuum bending.
This is why we need Owlet comms check. So the
Yeah.
Outcasts setting up top. In a Loco in their back line as Sigma in. Ooh, Bruto alone goes up as Doomfist uses his. Ooh, getting out the Immortality Field. The kill's not quite coming the way of StoryBook Villains, but oh, the barrage. They poured everything into that fight to take them off the high ground.
Yeah, setting up well for Outcast. They'll have 5 ults to make this retake and really just settle down on this hard to cap point 2 of King's Row.
Right, but they'll have to muscle their way back to the corner, and it looks like StoryBook Villains is going to get past the corner, so the contest might be coming very late on this point. That barrage, the Sigma setup was just too clean. The dragons come through. Bull of Bulls going down low to Arku's dragons in the
Great
tank line falling
combo.
down to StoryBook Villains.
Exactly what they needed.
Just a quick one ultimate.
Quick ultimate wins the fight, forces StoryBook Villains to retreat and regroup.
Yeah. And so this side of StoryBook Villains going back, swapping to the May is Sharp Shot to win. And what's really good from that fight from the Outcasts is that they only used one ultimate to get there. Just a cooldown and an ultimate to get the
Fast
fight
charging
winning
one
mix.
too.
Yeah. So really this defense could be solidifying. Now, an interesting setup up top. Using both ultimates, the square and the bongo at the same time in a huge gravitic flux. Did Outcast predict that? They're gonna have to drop the point. Flux coming out from the side of Outcast. The superchargers at Brutal Alone finds CRX Wolf. And Inaloka finds Gerbert. I think the drop down might have been a little bit late, Lulu.
All I have to say is, like, I've never seen a bongo window combo that has done so little damage. The health bars were barely moving. Bulls didn't really seem too distressed at all.
Nobody on the side of StoryBook Villains was phased whatsoever by that. And now they've already taken third point with 4 minutes left in the time bank. Now this will be an interesting fight because it is neutral. Well, Brutal Alone will have his ultimate, but that's really used to play a little bit more aggressively most of the time. And here he goes in with the Meteor Strike onto CRX Wolves, who has to use the Immortality Field. He gets slept and barely manages his way out. Now,
I like what they're doing with the McCree. He's just all alone shooting up top. No one can get to him.
Yeah,
See that as he gets moved off.
he's booped off by Kusogari. High Noon comes out, but killed just in
Quite the
time.
bold High Noon. Shades
Yeah.
of Grim Reality if anyone's been following since beta, but it looks like it's backfiring for them. Oh my, these boots have been
Arku. Oh, booped off entirely. Now it's all Gerbert alone on the point. Eva coming back on the Reaper. He'll have Wraith to maybe survive. Did he use Wraith to just recontest? It doesn't matter anymore. Flux comes out. 3 minutes and 5 seconds for the side of StoryBook Villains. They look unstoppable.
I've liked the positioning from StoryBook Villains before these fights, but whether it be like individual mistakes or just maybe poor ult usage, it seems like things have broken down once the fights start.
They had a great opportunity on second point of King's Row to start cycling their ultimates and not press Q all at the same time and start like spacing out their ultimates and like trying to buy more time off the clock and maybe get a pick even with the square and the bongo. But they blew all of that. and it allowed Storybook Villains to get their foot right back, to get like their foothold right back into the power position, and they just held on to it through the rest of third.
Well, I mean,
There
we
really
gotta
wasn't
give
much they could
credit
do.
to Inaloco. That Sigma ult during that combo really most likely stopped a lot of the DPS coming through.
Yeah, and Kusogari with the huge boops, getting people both off the high ground and off the map, effectively mitigating any positional advantage from Outcasts. Now, what would you like to see the Outcasts try to do on the offense? It seems like everything they've been trying is just not quite up to par of Storybook Villains.
It's really hard to tell. Considering we don't really know the hero pools, but I want them to go Moira just so they can have that coalescence. But maybe I'm a little biased though.
Honestly. Now they're going to be running out with the Bastion strategy with no Symmetra, so the speed comes out and they're using the Sigma Shield of Haze to get into position.
Bastion's already wrecked!
And here comes Brutal alone. Inaloco just tearing them to shreds. Now it's just the tank line, Haze all alone. So you quick wipe.
No one looked at the Reaper, and he just free shoots the Bastion, gets the easy pick.
And with the
Been the story of the game so far.
And with the attack Bastion, especially without a Symmetra, the whole team has to work as a unit and can't just follow in one after the other.
Oh, he's going again. This Bastion's probably done.
Ooh, Arco gets the kill on Brutal alone. Brutal alone didn't see him, but the wall gets Hyper Knight and Nifa, and the May Freeze is gonna seal this fight. The opening pick doesn't matter. Arco finding another. Maybe there's an opportunity for the Outcasts to get a quick regroup and rush on.
I mean, we gotta give props to Storybook Villains. Seems like they're all positioning well, and they're really playing around their DPS, their tank line.
The issue is, even if the Outcasts get in right now, you see Nifa swapping over to the Pharah off the Bastion, realizing it's probably not going to work. They have Coalescence, they have Rivetic Plus. I say that. Here comes the Dragon zoning them off the point, now they have space to work with. Coalescence comes on. And the Gravitic Flux coming onto Haze. Manages to stay alive, sharp shot to win, getting Nifa down. The res comes through, Arco finding Bull of Bulls. And slowly, the side of Storybook Villains is getting zoned off the point.
This is still definitely winnable for Storybook Villains. 4-on-5.
Rick Flux gets Brutal alone, Wraiths out, Inaloco getting caught out by it. Falls down to about half. He's one solo. They forced out the Nano Boost onto Hyper Knight to start cleaning up the fight, and now Kusugari and Bulls are alone on point. And the Bongo coming out!
If I were Storybook Villains, I'd be very happy about the result of that fight. I mean, that was like 3 extra ults at like the tail end of the fight.
Just looking at the Bongo alone on point, doing nothing for the still players. Oh, it hurts. Yeah, I'd be super happy if I was the side of Storybook Villains right now.
Really,
Gotta
we
be
have
feeling
a
good about your
surprise
defense.
barrage to kind of try to get this next fight. It's not gonna be easy with, especially on streets here.
No, and
Very narrow.
Nifa needs to look for a barrage quickly before the ultimates can force them off, and finding 2 picks the supports going down. Rock actually connecting, but it doesn't matter. The DPS finding the early picks they need, but Nifa decides to burn the barrage anyways.
I think that's a little much.
I
They already
agree.
had that fight won, and the 2 stragglers were nowhere near the cart to stall or even get their footing on this second part of this payload point.
Yeah, now the payload rounding the corner.
They're all spawning at the same time.
Blizzard comes out and gets Inaloco, or the Dragon comes out and gets Inaloco. Brutal alone trading all of these picks back with his Death Blossom, getting 3 kills. CRX Wolves caught alone, Brutal alone doing the heavy lifting with the Death Blossom and the follow-up.
I'm
I think that was a little bit of an overextend from the front line of Outcasts. Nowhere near the line of sight of Gerber there. Just easy pickings for the Reaper.
Right, and they had to know after all this time that the Death Blossom was going to come out. What do you think the Outcasts can do to get themselves back in here, capturing the second point?
I think they need to initiate with Valkyrie right here and just damage boost all 5 of them. Hopefully get some foothold on this economy and maybe use their newly gained ults to win this next fight.
The Vault comes out, Gravitic Flux comes out, Coalescence. But the Flux was used in Outcast backline, not finding much value. Nano Boost comes out onto Arku, who's going to take the high ground, but pulled off. Gravitic Flux coming out from Haze. And a barrage, but not finding anything. Brutal Alone picking him off. Brutal Alone in the backline of the Outcast, wraithing out, buying the space necessary for the Storybook villains to crowd the remaining members of the Outcasts. Brutal Alone. He's really pumping iron right now.
I'm restoring you.
I think Outcast could have done a little better on that nano. I understand it was a panic nano, so... But I think if they ulted that fair, there would have been a lot more immediate pressure, and which could have forced out an early beat or an overcommitment.
And you know I'm a main tank player, and I really appreciate the nuance of Bullable's pull of Arku off the high ground when he was nanoed, buying the extra seconds to let the nano boost fade off.
Nice
Dragon comes to Arku, splits
Great.
them up. Kusagari just living in their backline. Arku finding Bullables. Hyper Knight's gonna pop the bongo, but oh, the bongo stays alive despite Inaloco being right there the whole time. It finally goes down to Kusagari, but an advantage for the time is with the Outcasts. With only 23 seconds, it has to be. Bullables pops the bongo behind shield. It gets focused down by Hyper Knight. Good play by him. Bullables booped out. And he does go down. So barring a... Oh. Gerber goes down to the... here comes the cleanup from Nifa. It's looking scary for Outcasts. Nifa with the barrage. And with only Lit Cat on the point, this should be cleanup. But an overtime push, that was... It's honestly too close for comfort.
I mean, you can tell, like... Outcast is getting a little nervous. They're getting advantages, but they're still having to use ults for one reason or another.
And their focus just looks a
clean
little
things
bit
up.
off. Exactly. Well, here come the Outcasts rounding the first corner with some ultimates. They're going to initiate with a Flux a little bit behind the corner so it won't find too much value as the side of Storybook Villains puts a Blizzard down on point. Arku finding the pick on Brutal Alone. This is exactly what the Outcasts needed. Picks are coming through for their side. Sharpshot Twin goes down. This is going to be a reset from Storybook Villains. Bulls fortifies on point just to stall. Yeah.
Even this one-man stall is taking up a lot of time. It's crazy.
40 seconds. Yeah, this is one fight territory. And with
And they might not
Coalescence,
even
it's going to
get
be hard.
up in time.
Huge pick onto Brutal Alone is going to mean that Nifa is uncontested for just a little bit longer. Just so important with their spawns.
And best ult in
A
the game comes
huge
out.
Graphitic Flux and a huge Coalescence is going to send the entirety of the Outcast into panic mode with only 15 seconds left. Somebody's going to have to touch the point. TRX Wolves wants to. Gets picked off by Bullables. And Dragon comes out on point, but I don't think they're going to even be able to touch. Haze gets on point. But the Bastion, Brutal Alone swaps to the Bastion just to clean up any contest. Hyper Knight likely gets focused down or booped off here, yeah. And the Bongo's gonna solidify this. Yeah, Storybook Villains is gonna take King's Row. And the series 3-0 so far.
Man, I thought it was a lot better from Outcast. They were getting advantages on a lot of the fights, but whether it be through just slightly misused ult or just the lack of target focus, they just felt like they had to use the ults to clean up.
And I feel like a lot of this is maybe a lack of confidence issue. I'm not exactly sure because, I mean, I don't know. But it's about like getting in there and just being confident when you have advantage and just taking the fight by the reins and just seeing if you can win it. And they did a lot better on getting into those winnable situations, but now it's about capitalizing on them. So this last map, I'd love to see the Outcasts get their just to get a map off of the Storybook Villains, even though they've lost the series already 3-0. A 3-1 is a lot better, especially for map differential, than a 4-0.
And it'd just be great for their confidence, knowing that they can beat, most likely, one of the early favorites to win the whole league.
And right, Storybook Villains, if they win, they go up. They're up 2-0 now on the record, and their map differential at +7 right now, tentatively. If this map were to end in a draw, which it's Havana, it probably won't. But if it did, they would still, with just a +3 off of this match alone, be at the top of the league standings already after week 1. And a 4-0 would definitely put them there.
They'd be one map ahead of everyone else, right?
2 maps if they go 4-0. But I would love to see the Outcast, put their foot down and say enough is enough. We need to focus down and just take this map for our own confidence and and if this is one of the stronger teams and they can take a map off of them, that's got to do a lot for their mental.
Definitely. Still early in the season, a lot could change. I mean, last season's winners, Furious Unicorns, finished 6th in seeding in the regular season last season, and they ended up winning pretty convincingly too.
Yeah, against the 20-0 boosted, by the way, everyone thought sort of like the Patriots. What year was that? Do you know?
It was like 2008, I think.
2008 New England Patriots, for those who don't watch football, were entirely undefeated up until the Super Bowl, where they were defeated by the New York Giants 9-7 that season.
They had a pretty bad record in the regular season.
Right.
I think they were 9-7 actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything is possible here in Owlet. I think it's pretty transferable.
Yeah, totally. Same skills, same
skill set.
everything's the same. You just got like a giant car instead of a egg-shaped ball.
Yeah. So I would love to see from Outcasts a more confident defense. What do you think they should try out on the defense here?
I wonder if they're gonna do that close hold that Shanghai did on this map, where they just send the Pharah over the spawn roof and just spam. I think they're actually gonna do it.
Yeah. They're coming through. Yeah, it looks like they're gonna go for a close hold strategy. And I've seen a lot of teams start picking up this style of playing on Havana, because it allows you, if you hold back at the building, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but if you hold back on that high building, then you kind of only have one fight. So I like this close hold.
Yep. Gets you guaranteed
A
extra
huge
fight.
ante, but it's just so far. Oh, Brute alone goes down. Yeah,
Also gets the sneeze on the Tracer, and let's see if I'm curious if Storybook Villains is gonna keep its dive composition.
maybe they're just trying. They've won the series. Maybe they're just trying to see how it's gonna work. See, Bullabulls going in, Gerbert finding the pick on Sharp Shot to win, but Gerbert getting picked. Lit Cat finding Hyper Knight. Oh, it's all chaos. And the spawn is right there for the side of Storybook Villains, so any picks are going to mean so much more. Nifa going down, and now it's just Gerbert left. Getting eventually dismantled by the Storybook Villains dive.
Yeah, they kind of just left Gerbert out alone to just die. Unlucky for the Anna.
And after
Probably
trying...
one of the worst feelings as a flex support too. Just 0 peels and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and after the close hold attempt, Nifa's going to swap over to the Reaper. And a more traditional comp for what the Outcast is used to running is going to come out.
The classic, I need to switch to Reaper because they have a Winston. Foolproof strategy right
Bull
here.
Bull's missing the jump trying to get in. Sharp shot to win, dashes up, but the immortality field forced out. Hayes is going to find a pick onto Kusagari with the rock. Brutal alone onto Gerbert. Ooh. Getting split apart by the dive, but eventually the side of the Outcast is able to reconsolidate onto Hyper Knights, and they can find the picks they need. And I think that's the key with this composition versus the dive.
Just gotta stay solid, stick together, and just burn whoever
This is gonna make you
burn
feel
the
better.
monkey or diva.
Check this out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move it, people.
And so now, Storybook Villains on the point. Bull of Bulls jumping up, the anti-nade comes through, but blocked. But Hyper Knight's all alone. Completely isolated. And Storybook Villains getting the picks that they need. Nifa nanoed. But how much will the Nano Reaper do without the Orisa shield left? Hayes completely separated, and the Blade will come out just to secure the kills. It's only Arku on point. Ooh, what happened there?
The Winston created a lot of chaos by jumping in alone with the Primal Rage, forcing kind of a panic rotation from Outcasts, which caused the split which caused the decisive split for Storybook Villains to just isolate, pick off one by one.
Yeah, and I think the key was really that I think Hyper Knight thought the rest of the team had dropped down already, so he went down from the high ground position to go contest the cart that was rolling through. And Bull of Bulls was up there causing chaos with a Primal and just forcing everyone back so the rest of the team could just isolate him. That one's a card. The side of the Outcast will have the high ground position for now. But now back onto the Orisa Sigma for Storybook Villains for point 2. Blizzard will come in and a preemptive, I'd like to say, Reaper ultimate. And Brutal alone getting the picks on the Doomfist. The Flux will come out to maybe turn the fight. Hayes gets a pick on the Sharp Shot. But Gerbert's gone. Hyper Knight's gone. Oh, everyone's gone for Outcasts.
Feels like another common theme of Outcast is they get these solid initiations, and then after that they almost look a little bit lost, and everybody kind of just splits up.
Yeah, and a lot of these things is just, oh, Brutal alone goes for the punch in and doesn't get the value, but Nifa goes to capitalize, overextends himself, so now it's an even fight. You see Outcast positioning back of cart as Inaloco just ins into them completely. A big anti coming out from Gerbert, and Arku's able to find a capitalization on to Sharp Shot to win. Hyper Knight nanoed, trying to find picks. Bongo's in the Storybook Villains backline, and Meteor Strike and the Flux find Nifa and Arku, and the rest of this fight is over.
RQ at the best position in the world is McCree. He was just free shooting from the top right window. I'm not sure why he decided to just drop down.
Yeah, and especially in a fight like that, when everyone's trying to focus on point and get control of the cart, if you're on a high ground position, it's so hard to dislodge someone up there.
Felt like he just had all day to shoot from there.
Yeah. Now Storybook Villains working with a Blizzard. Arku coming up to high noon, and a Death Blossom for Nifa soon. And Storybook Villains able to get all the way from the end of point to the final corner, almost getting under the castle. And here comes the Blizzard, and the engagement from Brutal alone, finding a pick on Cyrix Wolves. The signal, it's almost unnecessary. Nifa finds Litcat. Nifa's still in the back line contesting cart, but no, this is one fight territory.
Fortunately for Outcast, this is probably the hardest point to cap in all of Overwatch. The spawns are just super close, and all that high ground for the defending team to work with.
And a big anti-nade coming through.
Establish control.
Arku finding it. Nifa really tasting the blood in the water, goes for the Death Blossom. And Litcat and Kusagari are gonna have to back up for now.
I think this will be a very telling fight, because right now Storybook Villains has the ult advantage, but if this fight goes south for them, then you're gonna see a lot more ultimates coming out for Outcast.
Yeah, and the spawn advantage as well from the Outcast could turn this in their favor. The Outcasts have chosen to keep Hyper Knight on the Reinhardt. And here comes the Coalescence. Side the Outcast not really backing up to respect it, but a square comes out, even finds a pick through the square under Sharp Shot. Brutal alone coming in, not finding the picks that he needs. And this will likely be a reset. Oh, Brutal alone getting pinned, but the Flux taking Hyper Knight out of his pin and onto the ground. That's gotta be heartbreaking. Now with Storybook Villains finding the kills that they need, it's all about the stall coming out from the side of the Outcasts. Gerbert's just gonna have to get on point with Hyper Knight. A huge anti-nade again and again. He's finding these anti-nades, but that's not doing anything. The ult's coming the way of Storybook Villains. That'll be the point.
You gotta give credit to Inaloco. That was a great Sigma ult to counteract any plans that Outcast had of getting an advantage from that pinned Doomfist.
And I'm not even sure if a play like that could even be intentional, if you could even plan that. But
I think they were trying to combo the Doom ult and the Sigma ult. But I think maybe the Doom ult was online first, so they thought they were gonna they're gonna just use that alone, and then their Sigma got their ult and just spammed Q. But
yeah,
either way, it ended up being great for Storybook Villains.
That's an interaction that I quite honestly haven't even seen yet. A pin getting canceled by a Griffitic Flux.
Great hero
something new every day. You know, maybe at least change it so Sigma can get stunned out of his Griffitic Flux, because it's super weird whenever, you know, the enemy honest sleeps you in midair when you're playing Sigma, and you see he's like, you're sleeping, but you still see his fist coming down, and everyone else goes down, you still get a 4K.
Yeah. Kind of strange how they let that through, but nothing we can do. We're just gonna have to live with the state of Overwatch for God knows how long, really.
You gonna send angry letters to Blizzard, Lulu?
What are letters?
Ah, right, it's 2019. I forget. Looks like...
I think everyone just posts on the forums anyway. Or it goes on Reddit.
Does anyone read the forums?
Someone's got it.
So, Storybook Villains is trying a close hold strat, but already a little bit split up. Bola Bulls is walled off, has to use Fortify, but the teleport is there, but Bola Bulls doesn't take it. He gets picked because of it. Arku finding the pick on Voodoo alone. Wow. Sharpshooter already has his barrage. Arku finding the pick on him though.
Just gets his barrage, but they finally kill him.
And CRX Wolves already has the square, the amplification matrix ready.
This next fight will most likely be up to whether the window can just zone out Storybook Villains versus Sharp Shot to win, getting that angle for the barrage.
And I think the engagement from Sharp Shot to win has to be just perfect. The overall engagement from Storybook Villains, that is. So that Sharp Shot to win can find the angle. And they spotted him out, and it looks, and they realize he's going for it, but it doesn't matter. The picks come through. Even fight on cart, no. Side of the Outcast is down 1, with both tanks remaining. Arku will likely either go down or just have to get out.
That was a nice set play from Storybook Villains, using the Sigma shield to protect the Pharah from any threat of getting shot down during that barrage.
And it's like at a certain point, they knew that Sharp Shot to win was going for it, but what could they have done?
I think once they see the Pharah, they gotta know that she has barrage, because she was just free shooting for like a whole minute on that first fight.
Gerbert's anti-nade comes through. The Sigma ult coming through from Storybook Villains. Where's the Blizzard? Where's the Blizzard? The Blizzard's at the back of point for the Outcasts. Hyper Knight's all alone.
You hate to see it.
Griffitic Flux is gonna send them all back to spawn while the Blizzard just goes into Kansas.
I think he got moved while he was channeling that Blizzard, so
Could it have been the Flux?
maybe. I'd have to look at the replay from Blizzard's replay client,
Oh, you hate to see it.
but I'm pretty sure he got moved during it.
It's interesting now. You see Widowmakers on both sides. Brutalone finding the critical headshot onto Nifa. Now Sharp Shot to Win is just free to spam. Ugh. Easy cleanup for side StoryBook villains.
You see Outcasts trying to go for the double hit scan just to deal with the Fear and the Widow, but it's really hard to run a hit scan in this meta just because of all the shields you have to shoot through, and Sigma's 1000 damage shield being able to just move wherever it wants to.
It's all about finding, against a double shield, playing a hit scan, it's all about finding the off angles and finding them fast. So a supercharger
out on an island.
Oh my gosh. Arku getting picked off. Litcat finding the kills with the Coalescence and the Damage Orb. Loco getting the pick on the CRX Wolves. This is going to be a reset. Oh, is he's going to get caught off? No, barely gets back to spawn, but only 30 seconds. And a dominant hold coming out from StoryBook villains. We're into one fight territory, Lulu.
And not much to work with comparatively. Just a Nano Sigma.
Hyper Knight's clearly had enough on the Orisa. And here comes the
Good start there,
Gravitic Flux, but again, behind the shields, without the team in position, Gravitic Flux isn't going to do anything. The Immortality Field comes out. Now, no longer that available. Here comes the Gravitic Flux from Inoloco. Going to find Gerbert. Arku and Hayes picking off the tank.
Also get on point.
They're on point. Sharp Shot to Win, finding Hyper Knight, and the res onto Brutalone is going to start swinging this fight into their favor. Someone has to be on point. Hayes will stay on point. Nifa goes down to Sharp Shot to Win, who's now uncontested. Here comes the barrage. Immortality Field going to save CRX Wolves and Nifa, but it's just CRX Wolves. And
Sharp Shot to Win was down at 1 HP. You'll just like floating up there, just waiting for a hit scan to shoot them. That's what they get paid for when you play those heroes.
Yeah.
Gotta be able to clean up.
Let's see this play from Brutal alone. Meteor Strike when everything goes wrong, and then just clean up kills.
This is
And I mean,
also a fun hero.
Yeah. So many fun heroes that we're seeing today.
Gotta love it.
So what do you think the main factor is in leading StoryBook villains to this dominant win?
I think overall they were more coordinated during the fights. They had a plan in action and were able to stick together and not be fazed by anything Outcast really threw at them.
And I feel like the side of StoryBook villains as well just understood their win conditions and understood like what to go for and how to get it. So congratulations to StoryBook villains. They now improve to 2-0, and with a +8 map differential, they're now the #1 team in the standings after week 1. And for the side of the Outcasts, they will drop to 1-1 with a -1 differential.
Anybody
And
who's playing StoryBook villains is gonna have to look out for them.
they're gonna have to watch out for just clean Pharah play, clean crossfires and shield usage, and yeah, congratulations for the dominant win. You have anything else to add to that, Lulu?
No, I just hope whoever plays them next week is ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Not looking at one of the teams that we represent. But that'll do it from us. I'm Edicts, and I've been with Lulu and enjoyed casting this game.